Let's take a look. Oh no. Good morning, YouTubers. Me again, coming to you live from the Cumberland Plateau in Tennessee. Beautiful day today. Nope, it's not. Pouring rain. I'm stuck in the shop. The good thing about being stuck in the shop is I've got a bunch of projects outside I have to do, cutting some floor pans out and blah, blah, blah. Can't do them today because it's raining. But guess what I can do today? Ha-ha! Back on the Corvette. It's supposed to rain all weekend, which normally wouldn't make me very happy. But because it's warm-ish out, I mean, got a little coolness to it, about 50 degrees. I know somebody commented that 50 degrees is toasty warm where they're at, so I guess I shouldn't complain. But it's 50 degrees-ish today. Supposed to get a little bit warmer than that, a little bit, maybe 55-ish. Okay, we had a day that was 77 a few days ago. I wish it would stay there. That's wonderful. But nonetheless, it's raining today. It's kind of damp and not pretty out at all. But it's a great day to be stuck in the shop and get working on the old Vette here. I'm going to do a few things. This is the plan, which never, ever works out as planned. So, plan is I got to get her up on the lift. I was going to move cars around, put her on the 4-post, but nah, we're just going to, it's a little bit of a job because of the side pipes and whatever. Getting her on the 2-post, and oh, poopies, I'm going to have to joggle things around because this other car's in the way. But nonetheless, we'll get her done. We'll get her on this lift one way or the other. I might have to wait till, get a break in the rain. So, well, whatever. We'll get that done. I'm going to put some oil. I'm going to stimulate oil. What do you want? How should I say that? I'm going to make the oil pump oil. There we go. I'm going to just use a drill and get some oil pressure coming up while I got everything apart, because I don't know where that broken push rod is. So what I plan on doing is I get some oil pressure going, make sure it's coming out all of the places it's supposed to come out. And I'm debating whether I want to do that with the old dirty oil that's in it, or if I want to go ahead and put clean oil in and do it. I think I'm going to do it with the dirty oil, because if it rinses out a bunch of crap, I don't want to put that in the new oil. So I'm going to do it with the old oil. I'm just going to go ahead and stimulate the oil pump and get some oil pressure going in here, see if I can't flush out any broken parts, bits of metal or whatever, get it to go through the filter maybe, without the engine actually running. And I also want to see if I can get the lifters all to pump up. The other ones, the bad ones, I'm already taking out. I'm going to take off every rocker arm, and I'm going to make sure all of the studs are tight. Then I'm going to stimulate the oil, make sure I've got oil coming out of every place, make sure it wasn't because those lifters didn't collapse because they were starved with oil, is basically what I'm trying to figure out. So by turning the pump and building up oil pressure with everything apart, I'll be able to see with Neo peepers exactly what's going on with the oiling system. If the oiling system is the problem, we'll get her fixed. That's going to require surgery, greater surgery than I plan on doing, so hopefully everything will be good there. I'm going to measure on the cam. I'm just going to do it primitive with a pair of vernier, the backside of a vernier. Going to make sure the cam hasn't been wiped. Doesn't look like it, but the truth is going to be in the numbers. So we'll get the measuring on there and make sure all of the lobes measure the same, especially the backside. I've got a couple of lobes that look real clean, when other ones still have some of that black oxide that they come with when you buy them new. So on the backside, some of them still have that black oxide, and others are clean. So I'm going to make sure all that's still good, because for whatever reason, those lifters, remember if you look back on adjusting the lifters thing, adjusting the rocker arm video, some of them went down a good, eighth to a quarter of an inch. And I'm thinking, why would they loosen that much? And I did find one stud that was loose. So, make a long story short, that's what we're going to do today according to plan. I still have to get underneath this car and get a magnet against the oil pan and try to pull that broken push rod out of there. I think by stimulating the oil pump, I might hopefully wash it down if it's still up in there somewhere. I'm going to try an air blast before I go that route because I want oil everywhere. So I'm going to put an air blast down there, see if I can't blow it down first. It may already be in the base of the pan, which I'll find out when I put a magnet to the pan and see if I can't drag it towards the hole. If I can't find that piece, then I'm going to have to make a decision. I'll have to decide whether or not I feel confident it's going to just stay in the bottom of the pan. And as long as I'm not Dukes of hazarding it, yeah, that's it. It should be fine. If it is in the bottom of the pan, because it's a pretty good sized chunk, it might get jammed up against the oil pump, but it's not going to go in. It's going to be too big, hopefully. But even if it's in smaller chunks, it's still not going to get through that screen. I'd rather get it out, which is what I'm hoping. We'll work at it as much as we possibly can, and then I'll have to decide whether or not, if I can't get it, I got to decide whether or not I want to pull the pan, try to find this thing, or just let it sit, kind of like, and I've heard stories about this, God forbid I ever find out, but where people have been shot or blown up, unfortunately, in wartime, and they've got pieces of shrapnel and or bullets still in them somewhere, and they're doing fine. God be with them, because I would never want to have to deal with that. But the car's kind of the same way. We've got a bullet lodged in there somewhere, and as long as it's in a place where it's not going to do any harm, I may leave it. We'll see. We will see. The worst thing that can happen is to be up in the crank somewhere, and I go to turn this thing over, and crunch, 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 and next thing you know, we're pulling the engine apart, and who knows what will break. So there we go. We got some decisions to make, but hopefully, with a little prayer and some luck, we will get that piece out of there with a magnet, drag it towards the front of the pan, and get it out of there. And that's pretty much it. So we're going to pull all the studs and check them, make sure they're Loctited. We're going to pull all the rockers off, examine them. We're going to take a look at each lifter real quick. We're going to measure the cam, change on the oil, and then we're going to put it all back together, then change on the oil. So that's the plan for the next 2 days. It is early-ish, not early, but late morning on a Saturday. I just don't do early morning on a Saturday, sorry. And if you hear that noise, that's the rain. It rains here in Tennessee. Don't let nobody kid you. It rains. Nothing like Florida, which is where I'm from, but it rains here, okay? But that's the plan. God willing, we will save them this big block. We'll have it back up and running, maybe with a little, good fortune. We'll get her running this weekend. If not, we'll be that much closer to getting it done. So hang with me. Let's get started. I'm going to put what I call a pig inside of here so nothing falls down into the engine. Well, actually, I'm going to put 2 pigs. Alright? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set, after I pull my rocker arm, I'm going to set them in order. And I'm going to do one side at a time. That way I don't get confused. So I want to put these rockers back on the same stud. So we'll start with this one. Just going the right way, yep. Now, that probably wasn't the smartest thing I've ever done. Right. The reason I say that is the socket wasn't on there real good, and I was kind of coming at it from the side and mucked it up a little bit. So not the best thought, not the best thing I've ever done in the world, but we'll get it out there. We didn't booger it up too bad. Sometimes I do knuckle-headed things, and that was one of them. Now here's the thing you got to be careful with on a big block Chevy is the push rods are all different lengths. You got exhaust and intake, and one is longer than the other. So we have to make sure we keep all of that stuff in order too, because we don't want to put the wrong one in the wrong place, so we'll be in a world of hurt. And although this may not be the best idea, because when I want to stimulate the oil pump, this isn't going to work. So we'll have to come up with a better solution on what to do with my rocker arms. Let me get a table over here, and we'll just line them up that way. So let's just do that. That way we don't have to move them twice. Got all the rocker arms off on this side. I'm going to go ahead and check to see if all of these studs are tight. So far so good. Yep. So that's not the problem. Yep, those are all good and tight. Which is a little disappointing because I'm just wondering what happened. What happened along the way that caused me to have to adjust these the way I did. I am noticing this one. It looks like the lifter isn't coming all the way back to the top. It's catching about halfway up. So that's got to be the problem, that the lifter's just stuck. It just didn't come all the way to the top, and that was the problem. Some kind of crud or something's caught up in there. I'm going to pull that lifter out, take a look at it, see what's going on, but I'm going to be replacing that one anyway. There is a special tool for getting lifters out, but I'm just going to use a pick for now, because these lifters are not stuck in here at all. Although this one might make a liar out of me. She is giving me a little bit of trouble at this point. She doesn't want to come out any further. There we go. She does feel a little tight in there. I wonder if... well, I guess it's alright. Let's take a look. Oh no. Oh no. Well, there's my problem. That means that lobe on the cam is probably wiped. Let me go ahead and show you what I've just found. Well, here is the problem. I don't know if you can see that. I'm pretty sure you can. Looks like a reversed umbrella. I mean, there's a big wahoo in there. You know, I don't know if you'll be able to see all that light coming out from underneath that ruler. This is a good one. And see how you don't see any light coming out from underneath this ruler? And all the light. This thing looks like a reverse umbrella. It looks like a bowl. I could literally put some oil in here. That means that this lifter is complete. Oh my gosh, it's even crooked. Look at it. It's like cockeyed this way. This lifter is completely pachiqua. It ain't no good. It's junk. Expensive junk. Which means the cam lobe probably looks the same way. I'm going to get my vernier out and I'm going to go ahead and measure that cam lobe. But I already know what I'm going to find. That means this old girl is, we're going to take, today's episode is probably going to be all about, let's go ahead, golly, got to get the timing cover off, which means I got to drop the front of the oil pan, because you know how Chevys are. And get the timing cover off, pull the cam out. Let's check the cam first, but I already know what I'm going to find. And I contribute this to today's oils. This is what happens when you don't put the zinc additive in them. On startup, they just, yeah, that. It's funny, she's always been a good runner, and but because she sits around a lot, if you don't have good zinc in that oil to coat those parts for a dry setup, for a dry start, you're screwed. And that's what's going to happen. Not a happy day for me. It's a rainy day, right? So let's measure the lobe. Maybe we'll get lucky, but no, probably not. And then I'll have to order a new cam. Great. Okay, well, let's just measure the cam and see how far gone she really is. Try to get a close-up. I'll try. Got my vernier, and I got my glasses so I can read the thing. This exhaust valve, well, actually I need to read an intake, dang it. That one's close to top dead. I'm going to have to turn her a little bit because that's going to be an exhaust valve. So I need to get an intake valve. And I don't see one. Can I get on that one? Not really. Not on the top of it. So let me turn this just a tad. See if I can't get an intake valve. Might. What is that noise? That's not a good noise. Probably need to take the plugs out so I can turn this thing over. So let's go ahead and do that. Oh, that don't look good. Let me go ahead and take these plugs out so I can actually turn this thing over without getting a hernia. And she's got a lot of compression. Oh, probably because all the valves are closed. Duh. Okay, well, stupid attack for number one for the day. I'm going to pull the plugs out so I can actually turn this thing over without, getting a hernia. And I'll be back in a second. Well, one thing's for sure. She was running richer than Elon Musk. Look at that. I mean, she was rich. Wish I was that rich. But there's no more running for this girl until we stab in a new shaft on her. I'm going to check that lobe. Honestly, I can see the edge of it from here. And she's looking kind of round. Yeah, she's shot. But we're going to measure anyway just for kicks and giggles. There's no point in me measuring. I got out the measuring tools for nothing. You can see how shiny that is right there, and I can see it is a huge lip on it, and it is almost completely round. It is not egg-shaped anymore. It has no real crest on it. So unless I want an engine that runs, so-so, that explains why when I adjusted these rockers, it wasn't because the lifter collapsed so much. I mean, it did, but it was because the lifter collapsed because it wore plumb out, and it just lessened the oil pressure going to that particular lifter, and that's what happened. It wasn't that the lifter itself went bad, which in a way makes me feel a little better because I've been buying these lifters for years, and I guarantee there's nothing wrong with this cam. It's a Lunati, and I've had it in this car for 15 years, and it's been fine. What it is one, I've let the car sit, so that's my fault, without starting it very often. Two, the oils that we have nowadays that don't have zinc in them, and for the longest time, and I used to brag about it, I'm like, I've not been running zinc in this engine, and it's been just fine. Well, bragging days are over. It's wiped. So, the rest, a lot of the other lobes look good. Once I get the cam out, we'll take another look at it, but I'm debating whether or not I want to take this hood back off because I need two people to do that, and I don't have two people. So unless I get a friend to come on over, we'll probably just try to get the radiator out this way and just try to leave the hood on there and get this cam out of here. I was doing the mathematizing in here and was looking at the radiator situation. I'm thinking pull out the radiator, cam will come right out. Nope. The hood, when it goes up, it comes down in the front. And it fills that area right where the cam would have to come out. So, and I'm sorry I didn't film it because it was pretty much, it wasn't too bad. It's pretty light. It's, it's fiberglass. So the big hole in the middle helps a lot. So I pretty much just grabbed it from the hole and whoop, picked it right up with a broom. I had the old wife's car, right, holding it up. Don't tell her I said that. Anyway, got the hood off. Have to, right? Otherwise, you can't close the hood and pull the cam out because you can't do it. It's not like a regular car where you can take out the grill. Not happening, right? So, I gotta be honest, folks. I'm a little bit brokenhearted, a little bit disappointed. Really was kind of hoping to pop a lifter in there. But I was a little bit worried, you know, a new lifter, you know, what caused that lifter to fail, and now at least I know. So the old broken heart is, you know, happening. But we'll get her fixed. The bad thing is, at this point in time, I'm having an out-of-money experience trying to pay the old credit cards down. Didn't realize they were getting away from me. So she's probably going to sit for a while. I put her on the lift so I can jack her up, get her out of the way, and pull in another project, which might make some of you happy. I think we're going to start, you know, as long as the weather stays semi-okay, I think we may go ahead and try to get the old Javelin / AMX in here and start working on her. Which, that makes me happy, but I've wanted this car going first. Just money-wise, it's not going to happen. And I got lots of parts for the Javelin, so mad AMX time. I'm happy about that, but it's kind of a bittersweet because this old girl is going to have to wait. And I just did the 4-speed swap and was excited about it. You know, life, right? I think, didn't I just do a video, life happens? Well, this is the other side of life that happens. This is a toy, so I cannot, you know, justify taking the money, you know, and go ahead and, I mean, I probably could, but, and I know guys that do that stuff. And when I was young, I did that stuff. You know, I'd spend my mortgage money on projects. But right now, we don't do that. The way we do things is this, my little business here, selling car parts, that's what pays for my toys. And business has been slow. My budget from my regular job, that pays for the house, that pays for the food, that pays for all the bills. But we don't use that for toys. That's just our rule. We make money in the business, we can use all of that to pay for toys if we want to. And if I sell a toy, that money gets to go back into toys. So there's money there. It got a little bit, I got carried away, let's say. How many of you have never gotten carried away, right? Right? Come on now. Get carried away. The next thing you know, you look at your credit card, ah! Right? Well, that's kind of what happened. Looked at my credit card, ah! You know, we need to pay that down. So I told the wife, no more unnecessary spending right now, even with business money. Let's get that card paid down, and that's where we're at. So this poor old girl's probably going to wait, but we're still going to keep working on her today. I got the hood off. I'm getting ready to pull the radiator out. I thought y'all would appreciate me videoing the old radiator taken out of her in this thing, because it's going to be interesting, to say the least. It's heavy, and there's just me, myself, and I, and it takes at least 3 guys to get this radiator out of here. It weighs 9. It's not aluminum. It weighs like 9,000 pounds. Okay, that might be a minor exaggeration. Okay, yeah, it's an exaggeration, but it's pretty darn heavy. And you know, the hood, I was able to, you know, do this, but that radiator's in there. You know, she's in there. And I wasn't really sure if I wanted to slip an old disc trying to get that to happen, you know. So I'm going to climb on in, and I'm going to pick her up from the outside and set her. I think I'm going to put a blanket over the engine and just kind of set her somewhere. I'll figure it out as I go, and set it somewhere where I can get to it, and then, you know, kind of do one of those, you know. That's the plan anyway. It could go alright. It's a brand new radiator. Well, it was a brand new radiator 5 years ago when I put it in. But I've hardly used it. And that's half the problem with this car. The oils didn't help, but all that sitting around, you know, the whole time I was doing the 4-speed swap, the whole time, a lot of time, way before that, before I adjusted the valves the first time, she was clanking. And I did that Will It Run video on this car, and you heard it run. There was a lot of valve train noise. I was hearing that. And evidently that was probably you all probably listened to this engine eat itself in that video. And that's probably, I'm guessing, when it happened, because this engine doesn't normally have that much valve train noise, and she was clattering. I'm guessing that the oil pressure just took too long to get up. I always ran 2050 in her, and I can't remember. I think that video was in the wintertime, so I don't remember now, but y'all can look back at it, and you tell me. But I'm paying the price now. You know, my old girl, this is like my first love. When I was a kid, I've always wanted a Corvette. Always. And I want a 59. So if any of y'all have a 59 that, you know, I don't have any money for, but if you just want to get rid of one, you know, right? I'd love to have a 59. Actually, 57 for 63 would be fine. I'd love a 59. But while I was looking for a 59, and back then I had a little bit of money in my pocket, I found this one. And I fell in love. I saw the movie Bad Boys, right? How many of you have seen that movie Bad Boys? If not, you got to watch it. It had a race between a Cobra and a C3 Corvette. And in that, I think it was an earlier Corvette, it was like a 68 or 9. But it had side pipes, and it had wire wheels on it, actually, but it looked pretty sharp. So when I saw this car and what kind of, nice paint on it and everything, I said, I'm going to build one of those. And I looked for the wire wheels, and then I decided I wanted a little different. And wire wheels really ain't me. They looked good on that car, though. And so this is what happened. And it just kept growing. Went from, small block to big block, and went from automatic to 4-speed. As things transgressed. Transgressed? Progressed. Transgressed. Well, whatever. Transgressed is a little different thing. But nonetheless, here we are. Got to put a cam in it. Got the hood off. Going to pull the radiator. Figured y'all might want to watch that. I'm going to quit talking now, but just letting you know I'm a little bummed out. So if y'all want to write something to cheer me up, I'm all for it. All right. So here we go. She ain't coming out without taking the hoses off. So let me get her up in the air and get that hose off. And we'll try again. And it's on my tote. There we go. Yeah, that lower radiator hose ain't coming. Gonna let her come out. Told you it'd be a fiasco. I just spent 10 minutes talking to myself. Or 5 anyway. I just looked and realized the camera wasn't doing the old beep, beep, beep thing to say it was on. So I just explained everything I'm getting ready to do. Yeah, but you weren't watching. So let's try this again. See if I can remember everything. I was rambling anyway, so maybe we'll make it better this time. Got the lower radiator hose out of it. Took the upper off while I was at it. I had to take the driver's side fan out of it because what was happening is as I was pulling it out, the fan was hitting the control arm, and I didn't have enough room to finagle on the other side. Because on the other side, it has this really goofy looking, like this long. It's like, okay, maybe this long. But that little spout coming off of the low radiator hose, and it's long. I don't know why it's so long. But it comes out and curls around and doing all crazy stuff, so it doesn't clear the control arm. So we have to get this side so I can have a little room to move things around. It's tight in here. It doesn't look it because there's so much space between the engine and the radiator. But when you get down to it, there's no room in there. This radiator's doing the gangster lean. It's leaning way back. I mean, the front's way up here and the back's way down here. It's doing the gangster lean. So it's a bit of a deal getting in there. I didn't even barely have room for my feet. I had to turn them sideways. But anyway, we're going to get this cam out of here, and I think, unfortunately, this project's going to stall there. But we've got a little bit of ways to go still yet. Get this out of here, then we'll go ahead and pull the harmonic balancer. We'll get that. And then we'll get the cam out of it and cry a little. But what we might do is we're going to move on to the next project after this, which I think is going to be my Mad AMX project. So I'm excited about that. So this is kind of bittersweet. This girl's down, but she's going to scoop me up into the next project until I can get some money to finish this one. And I've got a lot of parts. When COVID hit, I had sold one of my cars, sold my MR2. You can watch some videos on it. Sold my MR2 and used all of that money to fund these other projects, mainly the Barracuda. I bought a lot of stuff for it and for the AMX project. I bought the supercharger, and I bought a lot of stuff. Got the the block O-ring and the whole stuff. We'll go over that when that video comes. So that's probably going to be the next project. I've got almost everything to put that engine together. I might need some small block gaskets, but I know I bought like heavy duty head gaskets and stuff for that engine. So I might have everything, maybe an oil pan gasket. That I could probably swing. What oil pan gaskets? $10. But I might have one. I've got what I call a gasket basket, which is just a big tub full of gaskets. Small block Chevy stuff just like grows around here. So anyhow, we'll get started on that project. It's probably just going to be putting the engine together for now because it's still a little bit too cold to spray. But if we get the engine together, then we can, it's starting to warm up pretty quick. We had a day that was 77 degrees the other day. And so if I can get a day that I can spray, the underneath of the hood of that car is perfect, as you saw in some of the videos. So I really all got to scuff it and spray it. And it's going to be black, so I'm just going to use single stage black on that. So that'll be a fast and easy. Get that thing sprayed, pop that engine down there. I do have a gentleman, and we'll get into that later, but I do have a gentleman supposed to send me a kit that, and he is at, I think I mentioned this before, at 68_AMX_LS. He made a kit to put in a Chevrolet V8 into an AMC. So he's supposed to be sending me one of those. Keep our fingers crossed. It should show up, hopefully in time. It's going to take me a little while to get this engine together. It'll be a couple weeks. Next week we'll probably get it together, and then we'll get the car in. It takes some time. So anyhow, so hopefully he's going to help me out. He said he would. I believe him. We'll see what happens. Then we're going to, put this girl up in the air and let her hang there for a little while. We'll get started on that other project till the money situation heals, and then we'll get this girl back together. I'm going to be stealing some parts off of this car for that project. So it kind of worked out a little bit, silver lining. The distributor in this car is actually going to be donating itself into the next project because it's a Unilite. And this car doesn't need a fancy ignition because it's just basically a stock 454. She's got a little bit of a cam in her, but nothing crazy, nothing big dollar. It's Lunati, Thumper or something like that. I don't know, it has some fancy name. But I just bought it, it's actually a little big because you saw she was running pretty rich. So I might, and I don't know if that's carburetor, fuel pressure, we'll play with that later. But, so she's going to be donating a few parts here and there. I'm going to donate the spark plugs out of this car too because they're a 90 degree? Yeah, they're a 90 degree spark plug boot, and they kind of really close to the header. If I get a 45 degree, I can route them up over the top of the engine, and that will keep them from harm. So there's some bittersweet with this. Since I've got it apart, this is the time to do all the things I wanted to do to it. I've been talking to you all about doing the shorter water pump, which is what belongs on this car. And, well, now I got it, right? Now I got it. So this she just said, nope, that's it. Don't talk about it no more. You're gonna fix me now. And that's where we're at. So anyway, enough talking. Let's get back to it. Watch me struggle with this radiator. Worst comes to worst, I might have to take the passenger side fan out too. They're just two little bitty ones. But we'll see what happens. It's tight in there, folks. It's tight. So hang in there and see if I get it out this time. And, oh, by the way, I did put a big moving blanket over the engine. If you notice, I was sitting inside the engine. It's kind of comfy in there. It's like a toilet seat, So anyway, we're going to see if we can get this out. So hang in there. Water in my boot. Yay. I don't know what's holding me up. It's... Okay. Now what? I'm kind of at an impasse here. I'm not really sure what to do. I over here. And then put my rag here. Oh, that didn't even hit the right spot. There we go. Alright, let me get out of here now. Somehow, some way. Yep, poured antifreeze all down my leg. Oh, here we go. Whew, okay. I can get to it now. That was too early to keep the fan on there on that side. Ooh, I did do a little booger right there. Hopefully it didn't hurt nothing. But you see this crazy looking spout here. I don't know if that's all. This one ain't much better. They're just crazy. Anyhow, here we go. Oh golly, that thing weighs 3,000 pounds. Where do I put it? Now you're going to get to see just how much room there is. I put this in here, but you got it's pretty deep in there too, and then you got all this room to get the cam out. So I did put this blanket on here so that I don't have to worry about scratching things worse than they already are. I'm not too worried about it because I do have to touch up the paint on this car coming soon. We're going to go ahead and get the harmonic balancer off, get that front timing cover off, and then see what we got for a cam. We got the puller on here. We're just going to start to... I could turn my metric adjustable the right direction. There we go. Alright, let me see if I can do it from over here, get out of your way, so you can see what's happening. I have a tendency to do that. Oh, great. Ow! Problem with metric adjustables. They loosen up. We might have to put her in gear in order to get this thing to do what I want it to do. Yep. We'll have to put her in gear and get a little better wrench, I think. Bet and see how many lifters are wiped before we actually get the cam out of it. So we got this one out already, and that one was okay, remember? There's no sense in trying to keep them in order because we're not putting them back in. That one's wiped. So there's two. That one looks good. That one's good. Ooh, this one don't want to come out. There we go. That one's wiped. Oh, that one's very wiped. That one's good. 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 Wiped. Wiped. Good. Wiped. And good. Well, that just goes to show we ain't wasting our time putting another cam in it. There's more than just one or two wiped out. Well, it's not happy times. There's the bad one, the worst one. If you see that she's barely got a hump on her. I don't know if you can see it or not, but yeah, there's barely one there. You can see how tall the next one is. That one's got nothing. And then let's see. Oh yeah, that one's round. Look at that one. She's just about round as well. Let's see. That one's worn, but not too bad. Yeah, so they get worse. This one's not too good either. See that one? But yeah, she's wiped. It's all the intake valves. I'm not really sure what caused that. Why? Well, I know what caused it. It's the crappy oils we have nowadays. It doesn't have any startup protection because no zinc. And my neglect of letting her sit around a lot. I don't remember on my startup video if I put any zinc. I know when I changed the oil I put zinc the last time, but many years I didn't use any. So the odds are the oil that was in it when I started it didn't have zinc. And I guarantee you that startup video is when we wiped this cam. Sad but true phenomenon. I should have, there could have been a lot of, fuel in that oil. There could have been a lot of contaminants just from sitting around, moisture. I didn't see a lot of moisture, but I definitely probably did not have zinc. Nonetheless, lesson learned. But like I said, there's a silver lining because some of these parts were destined to go into my Mad AMX project, and they're already off now. Right? Not a great consolation prize, but a little bit. It would have been easier to pop the distributor out, pop the new one in the same spot instead of having to go through all this, but we're here. We're doing it. So I'm going to get on the internet and I'm going to put all of the stuff I need for this project in my wish list, kind of get an idea how much it's going to cost, and start, planning on that. In the meantime, we'll go ahead and start on the Mad AMX project next week, and we'll pack this girl away for a little while. Sad story, but it is what it is. I don't remember this cam being expensive, but COVID, and then this lovely economy we have right now. It's funny because some people blame the current leadership of our country, and other people blame the former leadership of our country. And I'm not going to tell you which one I prefer, but because that's controversial crap, you know what I mean? But I'm not happy with the way things are now. Let's just say it that way. So whatever the cause of this inflation, whether it was COVID or whether it's our leadership or whether it's some other thing, but I know gas prices suck right now, and this hobby isn't really very good on fuel, right? The more high performance we build stuff, the more expensive it gets. I was talking to a guy that's building a Charger, 73 Charger. He came here to order some stuff, and he is putting a supercharged, turbocharged 6-cylinder in it out of something. I don't even know if it's an American car. And the sad truth is, and they did that in that Fast and Furious movie, right? I was a little bit disappointed when I saw that, but that's what it's coming to, because you can put a smaller V6 in there, or even a straight 6, put a turbocharger on it or a supercharger, get 20-something miles to the gallon and get the same power. So unfortunately, with this economy the way it's going, that's probably where our hobby is heading. Ow. I don't like that, but that's where it's heading, unfortunately. So brace for it, folks. But in the meantime, I'm still going to keep feeding my big block if I can ever get her back up and running. But now it's time to put her away for a little while and start on the next project. If you enjoyed this video, do me a favor and subscribe if you haven't already. Share it with your friends, and also mash on that old like button. That makes me feel all warm and fuzzy. Thank you for watching.